Love is probably one of the most powerful antidotes known to man. Even in the midst of tragedies, love can conquer. In 1 Corinthians this morning, you heard what love can do. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's never envious. It doesn't boast. It's not arrogant. It's not rude. It never insists on its own way. It never gets irritable. Never gets resentful. It never rejoices in doing wrong. But it does rejoice in the truth. Because love will bear all things, believe all things, hope all things, and endure everything. We can do many things in this life. Many things. We can accomplish great things, great tasks. We can even make a difference in our own lives and the lives of others. But if we do not have love, it is all for nothing, and it means nothing. The heart, as the Tin Man would learn, would become very fragile. Probably the most fragile thing we have is our heart. One thing is for sure, that if you keep your heart intact, the best way to keep it intact is to give it to no one. If you just want to keep it intact, give it to no one. What would it be if God decided to give it to no one? What would it be? God took a chance. Took a big chance in creating us and then giving us the freedom to accept or reject. He gave us an offer of relationships. Because you see, we have a God that is madly in love with creation. With everything that he's created. He is madly in love with it. He is so in love with us that he took a risk of rejection by even losing us to other gods. And yes, people, a lot of us have other gods. Why would God do such a dangerous thing? In 1 John this morning, we encounter God who first and foremost is love. John nails it right on the head. And a model for that is Jesus dying on a cross. He opened his heart and became vulnerable to the suffering and to the enduring incredible pain. All this he had done, knowing what it was going to mean to him personally, and even in that, considered his life worthless compared to the risk of losing our hearts. Oftentimes, we know what it means to sacrifice. We sacrifice for our families because we want the best for them. Parents sacrifice for their children so they can have a good chance at life. And at one point in our life, we'll make a sacrifice for someone, and that is love for others. But some will do the opposite. Some will sacrifice someone for personal gain. That is love of self only. For many of us, it's hard for us to really and truly love for fear of actually becoming vulnerable. We fear if we open our heart too much, sometimes other people will see our own faults. They'll see our mistakes. They'll see our flaws. Women, did you marry your husbands because of their flaws? Or did you wed them because of their potential? Men, did you marry your wives because of their flaws? Or did you see the promise of a home built with love? A house is a house. But a home, regardless of where it's at, is built with love. Built with love. And it takes a commitment. A hard commitment. Because you have to open yourselves up to one another. You have to reveal your true self to someone. That's not easy to do. Most of you know this. You don't want to open yourself up for fear of rejection. But if you have love, there is no fear. For fear is conquered by love. Real love between a man and a woman does not happen overnight because it takes time. When you start out, you're very fond of each other, or at least I hope you were. But in time, you grow, and you grow in respect for one another. And most importantly, you grow in trust. You know the signs of love sometimes without having to say a word. You know that little signal, one little word that could set things off. And God knows that kind of love as well. And he needs that kind of love in return because he first loved us. Christ, my friends, will be more at home in your heart as you learn to trust him. Roots that grow in good soil grow deep, especially if the soil is rich. And God's love will dig deep into your heart if you take the time to really know all about him. Being with God over a period of time is like being with a loved one. Eventually you will learn to trust, and more importantly, you'll understand. Sometimes you'll understand God without ever saying a word. Without saying a word. Spending more time in God's embrace will empower you and give you the confidence you need to face life, and face life on its own terms. God's love for us runs deep. Nothing can change that in God's mind about us. God will continue to love us. Believe it or not, God is lovesick over each and every one of us. It's true. And through prayer, we can experience that love.